So, well, the larger focus going across now to our special debate tonight, it seems now increasingly likely that the Lokpal Bill could be passed this session. The final modalities, of course, being worked out and what exactly it will be. And joining me tonight to debate also whether this Lokpal will actually be the magic wand that the country is looking for to fight against corruption and also the need for urgent election reforms. With me is Chief Election Commissioner Dr. S.Y. Qureshi. I'm also joined by Ashwini Kumar, a Minister of State for Planning and Earth Sciences, Ravi Shankar Prasad, the MP and Chief Spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and from Team Anna, Mayank Gandhi from Mumbai. Thank you all very much for joining me. Dr. Qureshi, as we focus on the Lokpal Bill and also for the first time in 42 years, we finally seem close to getting this passed. I'd like to look at one tweet over the weekend where Chief Minister Omar Abdullah pointed out to the politicians on stage at Anna Hazare and asked, isn't this hypocrisy? Are all the politicians up there, politicians who fight elections with white money? And I know this is something that you've raised constantly, the need for election reforms, and somehow that's not been heard by our political class either. Do you find that that needs to go hand in hand with a strong Lokpal? Do you wish sometimes that, like Anna Hazare, you could go on a fast for your demands?
Well, that's an interesting the proposition. It's true that the recent Lokpal has taken eyes off electoral reform proposals totally. Although for the last 1 year, Law Ministry was in contact with us. As I mentioned earlier, the Law Minister, Mr. Moily, came to Election Commission, but discussed details of the reform proposal.
I'm sorry, we seem to be having some audio problems.
In this session,
yes,
there will be a bill.
Go ahead, sir. Can you hear me? We have some audio disturbance.
Can I continue?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. As I was saying that the recent debate on the Lokpal has somehow going off electoral reform proposals totally. And Mr. Salman Khurshid, when he visited the Election Commission, he had assured us that in this session will come back to take care of testing and transparency of political funding.
Yes.
But we were rather disappointed yesterday when we learned that about 30 bill proposals have come, but our bill is not there. So I hope the focus comes back to the basic reform proposal, which are more wide-ranging than even Lokpal, because we feel that will extract the problem. We would like to plug corruption at the time of election itself, which has become the source of corruption. When they spend 10-20 crores for election, the MLAs and MPs, they start.
Let me just bring in Mr. Ashwini Kumar here at this point, and hopefully we'll be able to fix that audio soon. Mr. Ashwini Kumar, the proposition perhaps that ideally landmark reforms like the Lokpal Bill, like election reforms, should go hand in hand. There seems to be a perception that the government acts when it's forced to. Election reforms have been pending for 10 years. All party meetings have been held. Politicians have met from different parties, and no consensus has come on some of those tough reforms. Do you feel that's really an issue?
Well, I think that the proposition that all laws should converge with a view to eliminating or certainly reducing corruption is a valid proposition. I also agree that in the process of legislation and lawmaking, certain legislative measures assume priority and prominence for a host of factors, and the Lokpal Bill had acquired an urgency. The government had given its assurance. The government has vindicated its assurance to the people of India, and has therefore brought in not only the Lokpal Bill, which will be presented soon, but also, as you've just pointed out, the Cabinet has cleared 3 other central pieces of legislation. Alongside this, I do believe that there is need for electoral reforms. I do believe that there is an urgency of the need to put in place a structure of election laws that would collectively and individually help to curb the influence of unaccounted wealth in our electoral process. We need to free our electoral system
with the same hypocrisy that Omar Abdullah did? Do you see the same hypocrisy that Omar Abdullah did?
No, it is not a question of... Well, look, I'm not going to talk of the subject in terms of hypocrisy. I do realize that to the extent that the members of the Team Anna group themselves cannot really claim that they have no unaccounted money supporting them, or that some of their own members have their own moral credentials being severely rubbished in the public domain. That certainly is the case, and they can't claim moral superiority. And there is an element of hypocrisy, but I don't want to really dwell on that. I want to make this into a collective endeavor to find a robust legal infrastructure in the country that would individually and collectively reduce corruption and over time eliminate it in all its manifestations.
Let me bring in Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad here. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, I'm sure you have many responses to what Ashwini Kumar said, but just that point that often politicians privately from different political parties have made the point that you talk about corruption is not that politicians come into the system thinking that how much money can we make only for ourselves, but the way elections are fought in India nowadays makes it almost impossible to fight with the current limits to win an election, which is why you see that over 60% of candidates, of elected MPs in the Lok Sabha today are crorpatis. You need money to fight elections, and that's the reality of India today.
Well, first of all, on first principles, Sonia, I totally agree with you that Mayor Lokpal will not end corruption. Other instruments are required, and the most important is electoral reform. Indian democracy is now 60 years old, and we have to have a collective stake in the strengthening of Indian democracy. Much as I would appreciate the Election Commission and Mr. Qureshi as to how they held elections in Bihar and other places, something more is required to be done. I will not be a hypocrite. Yes, elections money is needed today. Go to big South India Lok Sabha constituencies, other places.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. NDTV.com/apps.